I was tagged in this post at least 6 times, so people really wanted me to see this, and I'm going to go ahead and do it. This is an Am I the A-hole post from a woman about pranks. So y'all know what I always say. She's just looking for validation for feeling normal human emotions. She says, am I the a-hole for getting hurt and upset over a harmless prank that my husband pulled? There's all kind of red flags. Go ahead and just highlight them as you see them. I'm going to read this. She says, so me and my husband have been married for 5 years. We are currently 24. She's 24. He's 33. 24 and 33. Way before we met, when I was 16, my mom's house had a house fire that literally burnt everything down. And sadly, my childhood cat was also deleted in the fire. I remember my mom and brother waking me up screaming, fire, fire, get up, get up. We crawled out under the smoke, and luckily my neighbors had already called the fire department, and they pulled us out. We lost literally everything. We were devastated. So that was a while ago, but it still really scares me. And I check outlets and our stove and candles and everything all the time. My husband knows this about me. 2 nights ago, I went to bed early because I'm currently 34 weeks pregnant, literally about to pop. While sleeping for a while before, I was sleeping for a while before, some reason, my husband decided to wake me up by yelling, baby, there's a fire, 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 get up. As quick as I could get up at 34 weeks, I did and grabbed my purse. I was just in automatic shock and just autopilot and knew I needed what to grab. I made it all the way down the stairs, yelling for my husband to follow me before he started laughing and telling me it was a joke. It took a minute for that to process. I stood there with an open mouth while he laughed and ushered me down the rest of the stairs. I sat down on the couch and just started sobbing. It was genuinely the hardest I've ever sobbed. It was like I couldn't get myself to stop, and my whole body was shaking. My heart was racing and I couldn't breathe. I have never had this experience before. I was genuinely so panicked. I was so effing upset. My husband apologized and I was like, oh my God, I'm sorry. I messed that up. I was so effing upset. My husband apologized and was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. It was just a joke. I just cried until he eventually was like, WTF? What the F? It was just a prank. This is really dramatic. After a few hours, I had calmed myself down and went to apologize to him. She went to apologize to him. He wouldn't take it. He said I was being overdramatic and made him feel like for a harmless prank. So I guess I'm the a-hole. I've never been good at taking jokes. I've been trying to be less sensitive, but I don't know. This whole story was just a monumentous red flag. Doing this to a really pregnant woman could have had calamitous issues. She could have fallen in a panic. She could have had a real panic attack, a real heart attack. Her body she's in all kind of flux being 34 weeks pregnant. Something could have happened to their child. This is terrible. These types of pranks are not funny. They're harmful. And then on top of that, he went from apologizing to saying it was a prank, you're being dramatic, and cussing at her. I don't know. These pranks and supposed jokes make me so mad. But this is just terrible because of how pregnant she is and her trauma behind fires. Okay, so for some of the comments, Professional Angst says, you went to apologize to him? You were in a tragic event and have been mentally preparing for it just in case. That is some PTSD, but a normal reaction. He took advantage of your fear. He needs to apologize to you. And then the OP says, I apologize because he made a big deal about me making him feel horrible. And then Snoo Words says, that is gaslighting. You did nothing wrong. And CGM says he couldn't get a woman closer to his age because the reality is no woman would ever tolerate his behavior. He had no choice but to go looking for someone he could mold. Sadly, OP was definitely groomed. Now, When we got to the end, I knew that we needed to talk about Darvo because what he did was definitely Darvo. And I didn't even have to go looking for a graphic to tell you guys what Darvo is if you haven't been here long and don't know what Darvo is. So Becca Head says he manipulated you by turning it around on you. It's called Darvo. He denies responsibility, attacks you, reverses the role of victim and offender. So he doesn't have to take responsibility for waking you up and saying there's a fire. WTF. So he reversed the victim. He's the one that did something. But now he is playing the victim role because she had a reaction that was an absolutely normal reaction. But now he is feeling aggrieved or at least acting aggrieved. This is the perfect way to explain what Darvo is. He definitely denied that he did anything wrong after he gave a half-hearted apology. She says, we shouldn't be downvoting OP for being manipulated and probably by an abusive spouse. Relative Relevant says, I didn't hear about this book until after I left my marriage, but reading it was therapeutic and helped me to understand exactly why all the things I thought were my fault weren't. By then, I consciously knew what happened to me wasn't my fault, but that book made everything click. 10 out of 10, recommend this book to anyone leaving or who has left an abusive relationship. I absolutely believe that everybody should read this book. Why does he do that? Absolutely read the book. Why does he do that? There is a free PDF version available just floating around. And even if you're not in an abusive relationship, it's really important to read it so that you can understand and know why some women stay or just why their heads get so manipulated that they don't know or understand that they are being abused. So join the conversation. Let me know what you think about this. Don't forget to like, comment, and share. So Mama Say Mama Sa posted this link for us in the BurbNBougie subreddit, and she captioned it, Men's still in denial about why the marriage ends, misinterpreting quiet quit, then blindsided. So she gave us the link for the divorce subreddit. And she says, I'm currently living with such a delulu. Like I went from talking a mile a minute to him even saying I changed when I simply gave him the energy he gave me, the silent treatment. He's going to act blindsided when he's had 4 years to prepare for the divorce financially and emotionally. So that's what she's saying about it. Now let's look at the actual post that she's talking about. So what I'm noticing about Reddit and some of these men talking about the failure of their relationship or their relationship ending and they're blindsided, they literally have no clue how they got there. But women talk all the time until they just stop talking. And once women go silent, that's when we emotionally start checking out. They're not learning this. I think they have bought into the women throwing things and still hollering the stuff that Hollywood males have created as far as a narrative when a wife is mad and angry. No, when a wife has checked out, she goes silent and she's planning. Okay, so he asked this question, and his name is Tempus Secundus or something like that. He says, what were the signs that your spouse checked out? He says, specifically for the women, I've been separated for nearly 3 months. While still painful, I feel like I'm beginning to turn a corner to how nasty she's been. I feel like she already checked out before she left, but curious on hindsight, what do you think were some of the indicators that your spouse checked out and processed before they left? Edit. Thanks all for the group session. A lot to reflect and realize that we will get through the pain. So he's saying that his wife is nasty, but he didn't say what happened in any of this. Did he, what were any of his actions? He didn't give anything specific. Like I said, this is a really short post. Hoober Scoober says, oh man, I feel like I can answer this. In retrospect, it was brutal. He clearly stopped enjoying my company, looking forward to seeing me, enjoying intimacy, turned down bids for emotional connection, felt disassociated from the relationship. I'm dumb. I didn't see it sooner. And Mama Say Mama Sa says, same, silent treatment along with everything mentioned, but I was busy birthing and raising kids to care honestly. He enjoyed his freedom and social currency of marriage and procreation. Fast Talking B-Word says, I felt this in my soul. I just started crying. Okay, so only organization answered with, exact same for me. I literally will have flashbacks sometimes like, oh Lord, it was so obvious. And then the OP says, I feel like I'm forcing myself to relive it and look for the signs, but we were relatively normal. It was tumultuous at times, but she suddenly just left. So they were relatively normal, even though it was tumultuous, and she just left suddenly. This makes no sense right there. So now I want to look at some of his other posts because, like I said, he has posted quite a bit. I had to switch offices. They started using the leaf blower outside, so I'm back in my apartment now. But I'm starting with the beginning with this man in his post. It says, I have autism. My wife is leaving me. Okay, so I'm not sure how I feel about him using I have autism as the leading sentence, but you guys can weigh in. He says, I made a Reddit account just to write this post. We've been married for 2 years, together for 3. We were a great fit for each other at first because we had so much similarities and she seemed to understand my diagnosis. But things spiraled. Communication was never great on both sides, and now she's leaving. I have autism, highly functional, but not great with certain social cues. She knew this and had patience, but I feel like I wasn't enough because of who I am. We've been separated for a month now, no contact, and my heart breaks. Where can one find support? How does one find support? I have an incredibly tough time connecting and making friends, and I really just want to find like-minded people to grieve with. How do you stay focused at your job during this process? I have a long road ahead, and I don't know how I'll be able to process my feelings. I feel like I failed at everything I've ever tried in life. This was his second post in Divorce Men. He says, how to survive and process. It's been about 5 weeks. We had a stupid argument that got heated. We've both been stressed due to the baby coming and me starting a new job. She's accusing me of abuse of all kinds, took out a restraining order against me, and was recently able to fight for some visitation. She did this before a year ago after the birth of our first child, but the accusations were so scurrilous that the judge questioned the credibility of her testimony of her affidavit before the hearing began. We got back together to try to make it work, and for about a year, it was okay. So many good times and a few arguments here and there. She's really stacking the deck against me. Our second anniversary was yesterday, and I was able to see my 6-month-old daughter for the first time in a month. Not to mention that my second daughter is due to be born any day now, and I won't be able to witness that or know when I'll get to meet her. I keep going from okay to dreading the future. How am I going to be able to afford a decent living space for myself and my daughters? Will I even be able to retain shared legal physical custody? How can I be the best girl dad I can be? Luckily, my attorney is solid, but I still have these incredible feelings of hurt and betrayal. So like I said early on, he left a lot out. If she took out a restraining order and they were having all these fights and stuff, this was not a healthy relationship. He says, it's like we had plans together for the future, then suddenly, poof, it's gone like it never happened. I've made my mistakes, picked stupid battles, but I always apologized. She would never accept responsibility and would just resent and talk to her friends and family. To add insult to injury, we're both devout Catholics, which will make this process even more difficult because of how it will be received in our friend circles. And on top of that, I bet my soon-to-be ex-wife is doing just fine. She has her freedom and independence. She has her freedom and independence she wanted. It hurts. Like she doesn't care at all anymore. At all. I need to accept that, but how? She's agreed to mediation, but I bet it'll get contentious with custody issues. If anyone is in southern New Hampshire area, hit me up. Going to need some friends going forward. So right here, talking about she's doing just fine. She has her freedom and independence, and that hurts. That hurts him that she can just do what she wants and she's fine, and he is not fine at all. This was the post he made in the divorce subreddit a week ago. He says, I think the biggest thing I miss is having my soon-to-be ex-wife to break down troubles I'm having at work and life. She would be the first person I go to discuss all things at work or in social circles, to comfort me when things weren't going well and vice versa. Now she's gone or will be. This really hit hard today with the situation at work. Again, really hit hard. especially since she's done a full 180 and cut me off entirely, showing no remorse or care for the things and memories we built together. I think that's what I've been struggling with the most since our separation started 2-ish months ago. Granted, we were only married for 2 years, but damn, just a tough thing to swallow. Just something to throw out to the group. Anyone else go through this? This goes back to the wives being everything for these men. Like they are having troubles creating friend circles and things outside of their marriage. But obviously, if you've seen this, if you've seen this breakdown, you see that he is not telling everything, and this relationship wasn't healthy. But this was all he had. So I just wanted to go through that because the fact that he left out so much in the very first post that I saw, it was like, there's more to the story. He's leaving out a lot. And with that, I'm going to end it. Jump in the comments. Let me know what you think about this one. Don't forget to like, comment, and share. No Fricks posted this in the BurbNBougie subreddit. This is a story time, and there's a trigger warning here. There is DV and violence in this story time. She says, I was just punched in the head and spit on by a man 2 hours ago. She says, so I'm running on adrenaline right now, and I'm not sure where to post this, but WTF. This moment has solidified my advocacy for decentering men, period. The thing is, I'm now questioning whether I should even put my neck out for women who deal with toxic men. Today, I left my house to walk up to the supermarket. On my way, I see a couple fighting in my path. The lady was grabbing on this man's shirt, begging him to stay and yelling, please, I can do it. I'll do it. Please don't leave. And he's pulling away from her. She's stretching his shirt out with how hard she was pulling on him. Then he pushes her. She hits them. They drag it into the middle of the street. Personally, I don't like seeing someone put their hands on someone regardless of who is hitting, so I yell, yo, you're in the street. Cut that ish out. This man then starts punching at this woman and trying to steal her backpack. So I tell them again to cut it out and get the F out the street. Then he jumps on the back of a parked car and screams how she's a crazy bee and she's toxic. This man is crouched down on the back of a truck with one shoe on. She gets her backpack and puts it in her car. So I tell her to just let him go and she can find someone else instead of looking foolish and desperate fighting a guy with one shoe while she's only wearing a t-shirt, panties, socks, and some Crocs. I swear. Then she tells me to shut the F up, says she'll beat my butt, hits me, then tries to talk to her boyfriend. I asked her why she got to hit me, and he starts screaming about how she's crazy again and how she doesn't have a job and I should call the police on her. She then started yelling at me about how she lost her job because she went to work with a black eye and she works with kids. How he's the reason she has an ACS case and her kids might get taken away. And she's hurt because of him. I asked her who gave her the black eye and she said he did. I asked her why she's begging him to stay with her if he's beating on her like that. This man switched up so quick and started yelling about how I'm a P word, B word because I'm taking her side. Then he then says he'll have her beat my butt. I look at her, she backs away. I ask, who is going to beat my butt? He jumps off the truck and punches me on my ear and spits in my face. Then ran off with his one shoe. She comes back out of her car and asks me if I'm okay, then peels out when I call the police. They're currently looking out for him after they came to me. I'm home now and I'm still mad about it. A bear wouldn't punch me in the face and spit on me. Initially, I was on his side because I saw her hit him first, but now I hope they both rot. I'm done wasting my time on men. I'm no longer going to advocate for any man. I don't care if that makes me look bad. I'm definitely not going to advocate for women who stay in abusive relationships. I am done. Never have I been assaulted like this for trying to help people, and it damn sure won't happen again. I'm sorry if this is long and my thoughts are still all over the place, but I know my last shred of hope for humanity is gone. Thanks for reading. Yes, this definitely sounds like a cluster F. And, maybe she did stay in this thing a bit too long when she saw that the woman was begging him to stay after she said that he's the one that hit her in the face and gave her a black eye. This is where you kind of use your cell phone. you take a video or you call the police or something, but you have to have some self-preservation and want to stay safe. You got to have a sense of survival. You don't know these people. You don't know how they'll behave. You don't know who is actually dangerous. So this is where you have to take a step back. Squid Brain says, I always carry mace, but I've been thinking of investing in a taser. I hope you're okay. That's terrible. No Frick says, I'm okay. I hope he steps on glass. I do have to look into whether tasers are legal in my state. The levels we have to go through for protection is just getting out of hand. We shouldn't have to live like this. Squid Brain says, if tasers are not available, maybe you can get bear mace. I was thinking of taking some self-defense classes, to be honest. Yeah, I could never live without a dog for protection in a world that men exist in right now. Also, paper trail everything. Keep written documentation on hand to hand over to police if needed. Account Necessary says, shaking my head, these toxic couples will join forces and gang up on someone intervening, trying to talk some sense into them. It's not worth it to help the abused stand up to or even leave the abuser. I know from experience. So sorry you went through this, OP. I know you went in with good intention. These people's minds are somewhere else, though. Teaching OK says, this weekend, head to the Pew Pew range and get yourself one and learn how to use it. Canoodle Candy says, this is my wish for all of you. I'm sure some of you are uncomfortable with it, but you need to get past that with how bad things are getting. And then the OP says, unfortunately, New York City is not a carry place. We don't have that luxury. And Canoodle Candy says, if things get as bad as I think they may, I wouldn't worry too much about that. Going to the Pew Pew range is in preparation. But I hear you, get a laser or a mace or whatever you can to protect yourself. I'm so sorry you were assaulted. And with that, I'm going to end it. We do need to get to a place where we have to think about what we need to protect ourselves, because obviously you don't want to end up in a situation like this. Go ahead, let me know what you think about this. Don't forget to like, comment, and share.